Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
January 25, 2021, the Benny Steinmetz Convicted Edition. And we begin with our lead story. Benny Steinmetz, a mining magnate from Israel, was found guilty in a Switzerland, corruption trial. He is a French-Israeli businessman. He was convicted on charges of corrupting foreign officials in Guinea to obtain a mine or concessions. This has been a very long-running case, and Steinmetz was found guilty of paying millions of dollars to the wife of the ex-president of Guinea, President Conte, who died in 2008. Apparently the money was paid, and he died shortly thereafter, or rather after the concession was made. This is something that I've been following for quite some time. BSR, that's the Benny Steinmetz groups, stole this concession from Rio Tinto, and along with Vale from Brazil, was going to mine the resource. They never did that, and when the former President Conte died, the new government revoked his concession. So very big news out of Switzerland. Very unusual for the Swiss to get involved, but kudos to the Swiss, and a long-running case that I'm sure will be developed more or as he was sentenced to 5 years in prison. Next up from the New York Times, Adam Aron is the CEO of AMC Entertainment. Obviously, they're in a world of hurt now, but he thinks that, or hopes rather, the company can hang on. They narrowly avoided bankruptcy 4 times in the last 9 months, and they need another, I think, $750 million to make it through 2021. They hope to get people in the movie theaters in the summer of 2021, but I think now that may be incredibly aggressive. So will AMC or indeed any other movie chain survive? No one knows the answer to that question. This next one is entitled How to Keep Internet Trolls Off Remote Workplaces, and it points out that things are getting rougher and more ugly at companies as there's been a change since the pandemic began. More political brawls, more managers losing controls of employees, a curious mix of hyper-engagement and the lack of empathy. Employees are turning off their cameras, hiding behind avatars, and becoming incredibly disrespectful. They're being aggressive amongst each other. Office conversation at some companies is starting to look as unruly as conversations on the internet. How do you maintain your culture when people can hide behind avatars and other MAGA hat wearing intersectionists still believe that Trump won the election and they indeed want to overthrow the democratically elected government? Why should you listen to the people who want to revolt in the United States? So these are just some of the issues that compliance officers are going to have to deal with going forward. And finally, Joe Biden wants to define his presidency on equity. Also coming to us from the New York Times, courtesy Jim Tankersley and Michael Shear. Nothing wrong with having equity, and indeed having the working man with a voice is institutional justice at its finest. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.